Hey Sam, so here's Coda's first session, and it's really, really good. I love the progression of it, so sit back, relax, and let's learn about some dog stuff. So he comes in, he's, typical bull in a china shop, kind of thrashing around. He's like, I want to do my Coda stuff, and I'm like, hey man, I get it, but we gotta do some work first. So he starts to get with the program. I start to implement some food rewards and make it really valuable for him to cooperate. He has a few moments where I got to give him a push with the leash, but there's not many. He has moments like this where he does really well. We just kind of flow, and then he has moments like this where he's like, all right, I'm done. And I kind of give him that second where it's like, I get it. It is stressful, but I want to kind of push him to be the best that he could be. So after I give him that second, I say, okay, let's go. And I give him a little bit of pressure there, and he continues on like a master. So we always do some doorway stuff when we're working with puppies and impulse control. I want to see that I can tell him, wait, I can open the door, I can open the gate. There's people outside the door. I want to work on verbal cues. So right there, I gave him the verbal cue, wait. He sat and he waited. And then I told him, okay, he came in and out. So, I mean, when you're looking at this all broken down and what to do as far as homework, again, I think after our next session between me and him, we'll do a one-on-one with you, me, and him. And here he's just having a little break because he totally rocked the waiting there. And I'll teach you the mechanics of the prong and really getting him on that system. But I just want to get him warmed up to it. But what I want you to do with him until then is do these basic exercises inside the house on his flat buckle collar. So you'll notice I do a lot of repetition of a behavior. So it's a lot of repetition on like just, doing drills. We're walking up and back. And once he gets it good, I switch up and I layer more on. So this is part of that. I put him in the back area of the facility, and there's dogs barking. So there's dogs barking in both rooms, and that's where he's kind of tucking his tail. He's unsure. He can hear them, but he can't really see them. So I get him warmed up. I do the same basic drill. I want to get it transferable for whatever situation he's in. When we start to work the basics and the obedience, he understands it and can follow through. So this is a really interesting part. I slowed it down. We introduce the other dog, and he reacts. So he goes into shepherd mode, and he starts barking. He starts climbing close. So I popped him on the leash there, and he's doing a little bit of sniffing here, which is good. But that's where I think the prong with large dogs is like a really, really great system, because when he snaps into beast mode, we can just click him out of it pretty fast. So I like to use a small dog at some points. That's my dog. This is my dog, so I'm not just using some random small dog. But it really solidifies the importance of when you have a large dog that may react, that may do something dog-like, that we can have control over it. So what I'm showing the students here, so I'm mentoring these two students here, is now that he's reacted, but he couldn't make that choice anymore. He's leaning into me. He was leaning into me pretty hard. He was looking for some sort of security, so I gave him some pets. I told him good. And so now what I'm going to start doing is working him with this dog. So I start to get her to move around. I send her back and forth from towel to towel. And you can see now that he doesn't know what to do, because his instinct was to react and to kind of tell that other dog to go away because he's uncomfortable. So that's where now he's like, oh, I don't really know what to do. And he has that closed off kind of body language. So then I just get him moving again. I'm taking that same exercise, same cues. We go this way, we go that way. We sit, we wait. And I take something that he has now come to understand, and I make it harder. So there's people walking by. There's sounds of the other dogs. There's this other small dog running around him. But because we've put in this basic boundary system of when I move this way, you move with me. When I say sit, you sit. And so now I'm going to layer it up and make it much harder. There is some sort of phenomenon that happens when you have two dogs on leashes coming towards each other. It tends to up the intensity of reaction. So I have the other student or the student there put my dog on a leash, and you can see it automatically triggers him back into shepherd mode. So I work him with that. I tell him, no, we can't bark at that dog. We can't lunge at that dog. Even if it is from a playful state, which right now in his puppy brain, I'm sure he's like, I don't even know what I would do if I got there. He'd probably sniff it and then run away. But when we think about these behaviors translating to the 70 or 100-pound dog that he may be, we have to be able to tell him no. So he starts to avoid. He's like, okay, well, I can't bark at the dog. I can't lunge at the dog. I'm just going to avoid, which is where I would prefer him to be at this point. So we just start running this drill of walking close by each other. I ask him to sit, so now the dog on the leash is moving by him. Now I'm walking him behind the other dog. Maybe he could get some sniffs and familiarity. And then I take the leash of the other dog and I walk them together. And you could see, like, he understands to walk with me now. He's like, oh my God, there's this other dog here. It's a little weird, but he's completely, functional. So I ask her to sit. He kind of is like getting a little pushy. So I know he wants to do some sniffing. So I'm going to let him. I treat him for the sit response. And then what I do with her is I turn her into a more neutral state. So I turn her so that her bottom is facing him. And did you see that little sniff he got? He was like, oh, okay. I want you to just really watch his body language here. And this is where reactivity comes from. He does great, but he's unsure. He's just unsure of the other dog, and he's doing great. He's doing some sniffing, but watch when she goes to look back up at him and kind of greet him. He does this like, oh, no, I'm cool, we're good. And he does look back up at me for guidance, and so I ask him to sit, which is something he knows. He seems real comfortable here. And then I continue to move them together. And he's still just like kind of unsure about the situation, but he's not just like freaking out. He's being just such a good boy. So I just want him to cruise a little bit more, and that moment right there is just really, really good. So I just make it a little bit harder. I send her to a blanket, and then I call her towards us. So I have her come moving towards us in close range, and you'll see that in a second. I ask him to sit. I call her from behind, and I tell her good, and I send her away, and I call her again, and he does really good. He rocks that sit. He just waits and stays there. And again, that's what we're looking for when it comes to functional obedience, is whatever we do. And he got up there because I had the other handler say, tell her here, and that's what I've been working into him too. So it's no fault to him for getting up there. He was just doing what he had learned. So now I start to switch dogs up. I take a different energy. So this is another puppy. She doesn't have a whole lot of obedience. So she just is going to flop around and get crazy. And that's kind of what I wanted to expose him to. I want him to be well behaved no matter what kind of dog is around or what kind of energy. I want him to be able to just be neutral. So, and of course in the parks and everything he could play, but we want to think like when we're out and about, when COVID may be over at some point and we can go places and sit around on patios, I want him to just be able to be chill. So we start working around this puppy, and it's real cute how they kind of just, he's like, oh, okay, another puppy, and kind of gets like a little wound up from that. But overall, he does well. And the other staff member was coming through, bringing out that dog. He goes to investigate, but still does really well. And then I have them pull one last dog who I don't know. And it was just a chocolate lab, a little older dog. So again, I'm looking at like, how he responds to different energies, maturity levels, And at this point, he just kind of doesn't care. He's like, all right, we're just going to go for a walk like we've been doing. And that's what I'm looking for. And that's the importance of these drills and going back and forth is then if we were to go outside on the sidewalk and do this, yeah, he'd see some stuff, but everything that we've now been learning makes sense to him. The sit, the like, no, don't do that. The wait, the walk with me. Like these are all, it's a language that we want to teach him so that whenever situation he's in, it's easy for him to understand, even if, you know, it comes from a place of stress or it comes from a place of excitability. We still just need him to respond. So I loved this moment. He was just kind of like, hey, Dad, what's up? I'm doing it. I'm killing it. But yeah, if you have any questions on any of this, you know how to reach me. And I hope this is helpful as far as seeing, you know, the progress that he can make and how quickly he can make it. I mean, that was his first session and he rocked it. So I think through the next few phases, I'm going to start working in his come when I call you. We're going to put him on a long line. We're going to take him into different areas and we're going to start to build recall. And he does well with the jumping when he's on leash. I don't know how he does at home, how you guys function with that. I don't know if you're still working on mouthing. He is still kind of young and the shepherds do have a bit of a mouthy problem, but if you guys are working on that stuff, please let me know and I can help you out there. And if there's anything you want to review in the video, I'm always down to talk about it. So hope this is helpful. I love to make these for you guys. It just is time consuming and I hope you like the GoPro footage. He was the first dog that I shot the GoPro on, so I hope you enjoy that. All right, have a great day wherever you are and I will talk to you soon.